Welcome to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. This is the podcast where real life choices meet biblical truth without the fluff. Tune in every second and fourth Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Dr. Chinn shares faith-filled, practical insights to navigate everyday challenges. Get ready for real talk, real life, and real answers.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. I'm her host, producer, Audrey Bell Kearney. Glad to be with you guys today. Happy holidays. I hope you got finished with all your shopping and all that good stuff because I'm done. I got 3 things to wrap and then I'm done. Got a great show for you today. This show right here is one like no other. We have people, I'm texting links out because people are really interested in this topic, and I know why. I know why they are. So I'm excited to have this topic today, and I got people tuning in everywhere because they want to hear it because it's a real problem in a lot of marriages. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Dr. Chinn and her guest, Mr. Fina Richardson, and they're going to be talking about it. What happens? What happens when your spouse become your roommate? Also, before we do go any further, be sure to scan the QR code up to the right there. We want you to never, ever, ever miss an episode. So right up to the right hand, to the left side of the screen, scan that QR code. That's going to take you to all of Dr. Chinn's shows and her website and all of the great things that she does. So do me a favor and scan it right away. So without further ado, welcome.
Hello. Thank you, ladies, my sisters. I love you, my sisters. And Audrey, now we're going into year 4 in January. Is this right?
I just told somebody I thought it was 3, so we're going into year 4.
I believe it's year 4, but I could not have done this without you, Audrey. I thank you publicly for all your coaching, your guidance, for things that you gave me that you could have charged $1 million for challenging me and growing me. And I thank my sister, Pastor Trefina Richardson. God is doing something. And Audrey, I'm going to leave you more time at the end. I promise you this time so that you can come back and ask Pastor some questions. She's also a coach, y'all. So Audrey, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And you and I are going to talk about next year.
Okay. Have a good show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Coach, Pastor, Prophetess. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Good. And I'm so thank you that you said yes. And, a lot of people, you've been on the show before with your husband. You co-pastor Intermission Church out here in Douglasville. Yes. And I don't think it's coincidence that he's working on his project right now, co-laboring there in one vineyard and you're here in another. I see what the Lord is doing. Wow. So I appreciate your coaching. I appreciate all that you are and that you bring. So without further ado, this is a wonderful, wonderful, humble woman of God, very honest, full of integrity. And what you hear today, I promise you, will have come from the Spirit of the Lord and everything that God has been doing in her life to help in marriages. So, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Listen, Coach, the first question I want to ask you, because I know this is a topic that's hot for people.
Yes.
What are some of the most common reasons that couples end up feeling like roommates rather than partners?
Yeah, this is a very common thing, especially when couples get really used to each other. It's a very common thing because of the life demands that happen. And the intimacy starts to fade because of the life logistics, the things that go on, trying to manage life, finances, children, businesses. You becoming like partners in business versus intimacy and connection. Over time, the finances, the tasks, the things just overcrowd the relationship. And so the intimacy goes out of the window. And so the couples are not focusing on themselves anymore, incorporating our relationship with all the dynamics of life. So This is a common thing that happens in relationships. If we're not careful, we do become roommates because we become business minded and family oriented, finances, all of those things crowd out the relationship. And so we have to be very careful as couples not to allow these things to to tear apart the relationship. Instead of letting the love be the main focus and concentrating on each other, we begin to become business minded and oriented, family oriented, and all of these things. And so it becomes a buildup. And then
Okay.
we become,
It builds up over time because
right.
the focus has changed
The
away
focus,
from each other
it
and
becomes
more toward like, what's that?
transactional.
Oh, we,
That's
yes.
the word.
Wow.
Yes.
So, how can you tell, like, if in the marriage, how can you tell the difference between being in a normal phase where the marriage kind of gets a little dry and the relationship's going through a phase
Mhm.
versus a deeper relational problem? How can you tell you're not just going through a phase?
Okay. So a phase, you're going to go through different things and you'll pick back up. So we'll deal with these issues and we'll pick back up. The intimacy is not lost. The deeper problem is when you begin to try to search and find each other in the relationship. There is a distance there. There is a part of a person where they feel defensive when you begin to ask questions like, honey, why aren't we able to just go out on date night anymore? And they're doing something different and you're doing something different. There's no intentionality there.
Wow.
When it's just a phase, you go through a situation and then you come back together. When one person says something, the other person is not offended, you make the plans and you have them and it goes back to normalcy. But when
Okay.
it's deeper, you can tell there is a lot of offenses. There's people wearing their feelings on their shoulders. They're just going through the formalities because there's something deeper there.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
So, are there warning signs that this dynamic, right, could lead to a long term dissatisfaction or separation? Are there any warning signs?
The warning signs come when you start to feel as though you are in a battle
Mm,
more than a conversational, and the person is constantly feeling offended or they're wearing their feelings on their shoulder. That is a big warning sign. You can't say anything to the person without them feeling as though you are attacking them, and there's no attack. You're just asking a simple question like, honey, can you wash the dishes today? I'm a little tired. I worked a little longer, or I had to run around with the grandkids. It's like, you're asking me to do this. Why are you asking me to do that? It's defensiveness. It's that's the warning signs. It's always they're always wearing their feelings on their shoulders, and they
mhm.
don't know how to communicate with you anymore. They feel offended by some things that you may not have any idea that they're offended by. Those are the warning signs, and there's no real conversation. Everything is a battle. And then the roommate situation starts to happen because they're uncomfortable communicating with you anymore. Now they don't want to be in the same room. They don't want to feel like they have to answer questions. And that's a big warning sign. Versus, I slept in the other room because I needed a break. My back was hurting. The bed is not comfortable anymore. That's a little different dynamic. Or I need a break tonight. Or we had a disagreement. I feel like I just need to sleep in this room just for tonight. But it becomes one night, two nights, and then it goes beyond. These are the
Mhm.
signs.
So, what do you do at that point, whether you're the wife or the husband? Because, y'all, this goes both ways.
Yes.
Um, what do you do when those warning signs begin to manifest?
So when they start to manifest, it is great to seek help. It is great to seek counsel. The suggestion would be, man or woman, hey, I think we need some help. I feel like we're being distant right now. Our relationship feels a little strained, and I'm concerned. And, it depends on that person whether they want to or not. I was the one that didn't want counseling. My husband was suggesting counseling when we were going through our situation was different, but I didn't want it. I just felt like somebody would be in our business, but how badly I needed it until we were forced to have counseling. And you know our story through
Mhm.
court-ordered counseling. That was when I got it. Oh, how bad we needed it, and it did help. And sometimes the other person, the defensive person, or the person that's going into the other room, they don't really understand that they need counseling. And
Mhm.
so, if they're not willing to go with their spouse, then they should at least try a few sessions on their own. That will help someone else to give them a different perspective. It's not like so they don't feel forced by the spouse. so to speak.
So you said something interesting. So for our listening audience, she
Mhm.
said with their situation it was different, but they were forced to go to counseling. But listen, if you're forced to go to counseling, do you know that could be God's answer for you? Do you know that could be the way that he's trying to save you from yourself and save your marriage? Because we don't always want to get counseling. And we as a people, right? Black people honestly don't really go for counseling as
Yes.
much as other ethnicities, because we do feel like people are in our business. Different cultures handle matters different
Yes.
ways. Okay. I'm not saying this is a black or white thing, but
Mhm.
culturally we handle matters differently
Yes.
sometimes. So if you're the one that doesn't want to go, I'm hoping that after you hear this and some of the questions and answers that you might think again. So then what communication patterns and behavior tend to reinforce the roommate dynamic?
So the communication that it's like a lifestyle communication that it reinforces it. Again, going into the other room, being distant, not feeling as though they can share their feelings anymore. Because a lot
Mm,
of times when you don't feel like you can be yourself, you just start to drift naturally. It's a natural drift. When you start feeling distance in the relationship, it's going to force you to go one way or the other. Either you're going to draw closer or you're going to draw apart. And
wow.
this is one of the things that reinforces it. Feeling, sometimes our feelings are not really real. When I say that, I mean, you can feel that the other person is constantly judging you or constantly watching you because of past things that have happened. And the person has forgiven you and they're
Hmm.
treating you normal, but you feel like the other person feels a certain kind of way. So
Hmm.
this is some of the ideals that reinforce the roommate situation. The feelings of, oh, they're still looking at me like I'm the same person that I was in the past. And
Hmm.
they're not doing that. They're trying to show you. But it's the thing that can break that. I'm just going to bring that up too.
Yeah, yeah.
Is over loving the person, showing them the love that they need. And also just being kind enough to be a friend in that situation.
Whoa.
Sometimes, yeah, we stop being friends.
Wow.
We start having responsibility minded issues and we stop being a friend. When you're a friend to the person that feels like, they're on the outskirts or they feel like you don't trust them anymore, their guards are let down at this
Mm,
point.
mm, mm,
And then you just be a friend to them. Even that though they're your spouse, learn how to be a friend
mm,
because friendship brings you tell your best friend things, right? You share
mhm,
coffee, you do things of that nature. And if that does not happen, it is something way deeper, again, that they need some counseling because things have happened. We see this doesn't start in a marriage. Let's just get that straight.
uh-huh.
This stuff is brought in from childhood and then
Hmm.
it's magnified in a relationship. And so now, thus, you're dealing with all of these issues over time. It doesn't matter 20 years, 30 years. We're still dealing with the little boy or the little girl that
Hmm.
had these issues. And even though they've gone through life changes and you've had different issues going on in your marriage, it can be a trigger to the little boy or the little girl that's inside them. And that's why a friend is needed and a counselor as well, an unbiased person that can come in and assess the emotional trauma and pains that are going on in the relationship. So I know I said a lot in that little time.
No, but it makes sense, and I hear a lot of people say that. Good afternoon, Ashley. She joined us. Good afternoon, Ashley. But I
So,
hear a lot of people say that. But the interesting thing that I find is that people can be married for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and
mhm.
then some of that stuff from childhood begins to manifest. So sometimes it doesn't always happen like right after the marriage or shortly after the marriage. And so then whenever it happens, what can couples, how can they rebuild that intimacy, that emotional intimacy? So one you said is by being a friend, right?
Yes. Hmm.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that. Just it's non-threatening, isn't it?
Is right. Exactly. Exactly. So they can begin to build this intimacy. You want to say intimacy or friendship,
Mhm.
bonds being just actually just doing little things. Not it's the nonverbal as well as the verbal. Okay.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
nonverbal is I'm checking on you. You texting, I'm checking on you, seeing how you're doing today. Just
Mm.
thinking about you. Going and picking up their little favorite soda, drink, or candy or whatever.
Mhm.
Going the extra mile, just doing some of the little favorite things, just without asking, not even saying anything.
Mhm.
Hey, I thought about you today. I brought you your favorite cookie. You know,
Mhm.
don't even
Mhm.
bother them after that. Just leave it there. And just,
Ooh.
you know what I'm saying? It's the
Yes.
verbal. It's still speaking volumes, but it's tearing down the offenses and the walls that have been built up.
Mm.
And so if you think about a child, once a child has been spanking or chastised, they come right back to, I love you, right?
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
create those safe boundaries like we do with children. We're still dealing with some of the childhood issues. And so we need ourselves, right? So we have to think about, like, I'm a hairdresser. I think about when I shampoo a person or do their hair, I think about that being me in the bowl. So I
Mm.
do for that person. You're going to get more than what you pay for, right?
Come
And
on.
that's how I am in my relationship. Even when I mess up with my husband, I do a lot of nonverbal.
Yes.
He loves a nice bath, and I'm
Yes.
around there. So I'll just say, hey, what time do you think you'll be home?
Mhm.
And he'll say the time, and I'll say, okay, let me just go in here and do that. And
Mhm.
sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't. Not, now, for us, that works. But I would say, don't put too much expectation in the beginning quickly, because
Mhm.
sometimes I know that men want to see it done like this. We're
Mhm.
a little bit more patient. So we have to be kind of patient and dealing with those issues and just find the sweet spot in the
Mhm.
nonverbal, because a lot of times men are a little bit more stubborn than we are. We're like putty. You bring us some flowers and some, candy, or draw a bath. We're wide open. But with men, it takes a little bit more. So you have to know your mate, and you have to do things that that will help them to open up, and then be that friend. And so then you can suggest, hey, you know what? I feel like we need counseling, but I'm okay if you really go by yourself and you can talk to them about me. Tell them what's going on.
Mhm.
Let them know that, I'm dealing with you with some issues that you might not like. And why don't you talk to somebody that doesn't really know us and come back, and maybe we can discuss it, or even maybe we can go together at another time.
I love how you started out. You said, because I know when I mess up, I do da 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 da. You know,
Right.
women, we think we don't mess up. We think everything is them. We think if we cook, if we clean, if we put on the thong and the high heels, and if
All
yeah,
right.
we keeping it real. This is called keeping
This
it
is
real,
keeping it
right?
real.
With Dr. Chin. That if
Yeah.
we do all of those things, that we can't mess up. But there
Yeah.
are many ways that we can, ladies, if we're honest with ourselves, there are
Yeah.
many ways we can mess up. We can mess up with money. We
Yeah.
can mess up with not being available. There are many ways we can mess up for them. And so let's just be honest, we're all flesh and blood. So
Yeah.
then my next question is, what does vulnerability play in reconnecting?
Oh, yes.
Right. And how, it can practice it safely, like
Yes.
safely be vulnerable.
Right. So that's a really good thing that you're saying. Safety is the key,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to feel like the person that you're being vulnerable can handle your mess or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you got to go. You don't want the person throwing it up in your face. That is,
Ooh, say it.
let me tell you something, that is key, because when we become vulnerable and when we open up and we get into a disagreement, the last thing that you want is them saying, you did this. Oh yeah, that's why you were blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. And
Mm-hmm.
it can injure forever, really. It
Mm-hmm.
can injure or re-injure some things. So when you're opening up and being vulnerable, you have to tell your friend, hey, listen, when I tell you this, I'm giving you my secrets, and I need for you to handle me as such. If you ever bring it up, I don't think we can recover. I'm just telling you, I'm speaking from my behalf.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
recover from some things that I've taken you to the deepest hurtful places
Yeah.
in my life, and I need for you to handle that
Mm-hmm.
such. So when you're going and you're being vulnerable, you need to test it
Mm-hmm.
by saying little things and let that play out, because you don't want to give the person your deepest, darkest things and they take it and slap you in the face with it. It is so painful. We are not Jesus Jr. We will have to endure things as a hard soldier, suffer. You
Yes,
know what I'm saying?
I
But we
do.
don't want to put our things out there so deeply that we are just being butchered. Let's just be real.
Oh, yes.
Take it with small doses of the something that maybe not as non-threatening, and let
Mhm.
that play over a few months and
Okay.
then go into the next phase. Because I know me personally, I can't handle it. I'm just being honest.
Yes,
With the pain and the trauma that I experienced in my life, I need to know that I can trust you. I know
that's
that
the
you're
word.
not God. I know you're not God, but I
Mhm.
know I need to, that this thing you will not use against me,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
vice versa.
That's important, because when you're vulnerable with somebody and they mishandle your vulnerability, and I'm speaking from myself, being keeping it real.
Yes,
I won't trust you again.
yes,
You
yes.
might tell me, well, I won't do that again, but I don't know.
I
I'm not
don't
so
know.
sure,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So handles people's vulnerability very, very, very carefully.
yes,
Handle their vulnerability like you would want your handle. Be discreet, be kind, be
yes,
gentle, and
yes,
consider it an honor. So I want to say this: when someone is vulnerable with you, consider that an honor.
yes,
Consider that they see you in a place where they feel that
yes,
they can be safe with you.
yes.
It's an honor for someone to be vulnerable with you. That's how I feel,
Yes,
right?
yes, because the vulnerability, and I just want to say that can go very deep. You have things that have happened, rapes and molestations or whatever, and
Yeah.
you feel that your person, your spouse, can be there for you so that you can share these things, PTSD, whatever has
Mhm.
gone on in their life. They need to know that you're a safe place and that you're going to take it to God in prayer and leave it there.
Mhm.
And so that is why it is so important to test it out with
Mhm.
small things that
Mhm.
you can share that are vulnerable, but just
Mhm.
really small, not the big stuff at first,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
everybody can't handle your ugly.
It's
Honestly,
wise.
yeah,
That's wise. That's
no,
doesn't matter who it is, how long you've been married.
no.
Everybody can't handle my ugly,
That's
right?
right. And some people get divorced after 20, 30 years. And so we have to consider all of this. We don't want to go into it with the mindset that we can't share, but we have to know when and how, and if we can share it with the person that we're
Mhm.
with. Some things are left with Jesus, honestly, but you
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
take things in small doses. Yes. Mhm.
So how do you help couples reignite affection and desire when it feels lost?
Okay, so it takes two. I'm going to be really honest
Mhm.
with you.
Mhm.
It really takes two. But one can win their spouse over. They can. But the reigniting has to be, again, I'm going to reinforce the love languages.
Mhm.
What, not because you love uh, acts of kindness. You
Mhm.
got to know that that person loves whatever their love language is, and
Mhm.
don't try to give them your love language.
Right.
Begin to invest and reinvest in their love language, and
Mhm.
begin to condense it together with yours, and
Mhm.
begin to just try to have that mindset of how they're thinking,
Mhm.
like, begin to be selfless in this situation,
Mhm.
because a lot of times we want to know what we get out of it. We're trying to get something out of them.
Oh, say it. Come
But
say it.
we need to be able to say, I'm not even expecting anything right now. I
Mhm.
just want to love them for who they are and
Mhm.
give them what they need. And I'm going to be the vessel that God uses. I'm going to be selfless at this point. I'm
Mhm.
not going to try to manipulate or maneuver this situation. I'm going to be authentic and genuine and be a friend to this person. No matter how much they've hurt me, God, I need your help to be able to do this. I'm going to build myself up to a place where I can be the background to
Mhm.
this situation
Mhm.
and bring this love back.
So this is what I say about the whole love language thing. If you're speaking or appealing to your mate using your love language, you may as well be talking to yourself,
Exactly.
right? You may as well be talking to, because that's your language.
Yes.
And the other thing too is, and I think about this whole intimacy and helping, is I have to say this. I just have to say it.
Okay.
Manipulation, scripture tells us that manipulation is as what?
Sin of witchcraft.
Witchcraft. So
Yes.
when you manipulate uh your husband or your wife in ways to get them to do what you want them to do,
Yes.
that is manipulation,
Mhm.
which is
Witch.
scripturally as the sin of witchcraft. And
Yes.
I'm concerned, and even in the church, we have many witches running around and they'll tell you how to keep your husband. Let me tell you how to get your husband to do this. And let me tell you how that's witchcraft.
That
So
is.
read your own scripture and discern for yourself. You
Yes.
should not have to manipulate anybody
Mhm.
into loving you and giving acts of kindness.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna leave that alone. I think that's a whole other topic.
I
I'm gonna
think
leave
that's real, though. It's good and it's real because it is done purposefully a lot in the church. You're
yeah.
right. And I've learned through Christ and through counseling,
Mhm.
just be yourself and be genuine. And people love you because you're genuine. That's
Yeah.
why keeping it real means a lot because instead of trying to sugarcoat or tell people what they want to hear, we need to
hmm
be honest. And I'm
hmm
gonna be real with you, being reading these questions they provoked me in a way that said, listen, I have to be very straightforward and saying what I need to say. There's no hiding in this, honestly.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
There is and it really pricked me, honestly, till I was like, wow, these questions are really digging deep. And we have to deal with those deep things sometimes.
Listen.
Surface questions, and it was an irritant to my spirit. I'm not going to lie, not in a bad way, but it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you got it. This has got to be dealt with,
Yes.
These are real
Yes.
issues. This roommate situation, this vulnerability, all of these things,
Yes.
they matter in the relationship, and it is life or death for some relationships,
Yes.
you know. And so
Yes.
a lot of times in Christianity and our walk in our faith, we want to just pray and just love, over love situations where we can do that because love conquers all. But
hmm
also, we have to have the real deal situations where we deal with it. We
And
have
sometimes love hurts.
it hurts. It does.
Listen, sometimes like just the parents used to say it's gonna hurt me worse than it hurt you. They did it out of love, but
Yes,
love hurts sometimes.
yes,
Love
it
doesn't
does.
always feel like butterflies, and when we grow up, we understand that. So what are some healthy ways to talk about mismatched needs, right,
Okay.
for closeness or for sex?
Okay. So some healthy ways. I'm going to pull up my information because I needed to write this down.
Mhm.
I have so much written down, Lord Jesus. But I'm trying to just okay, I'm just gonna have to go off of the top of my head. Mixed match needs ask me the question from the beginning because I wanted to pull it up from what I wrote down. But
What are some healthy ways to talk about
Mhm.
mismatched needs for closeness or sex?
Okay, so some of the healthy ways to talk about mismatched needs. Do you know that? And this is what God gave me. We have a negative and a positive on our battery. It
Yeah.
wouldn't match automatically, right?
Uh-huh. hmm
So the way we talk about it is we're saying, listen, I know that you don't like so and so, and I might not like so and so, but can we compromise?
Uh-huh.
We need
hmm
because I really like this and you really like that. Let's
hmm
try to work it out where we both can come and meet
Yeah.
way
Yes.
halfway, and some of the things with sex, especially like some men want it every night. Some men
hmm
they might have an impotent, situation going on. And
hmm
so or the woman's libido might be low. So
hmm
we have to come into a meeting of the minds where we're patient with one another and we
hmm
say, I'm going to exercise this a little bit more. I
hmm
want you to know I love you no matter what. And
hmm
sometimes it's a kiss, it's a hug, it's a
hmm
build up to the sex. It
hmm
doesn't automatically start with sex. And some people just want to go right into sex. Let's
Yeah.
start with the build up. Let's start with the holding. Let's have some cocoa or coffee together. Let's start with a nice meal. Let's start with talking. Let's
hmm
start with me putting that negligee on, walking around here in the house,
Yes.
and just talking stuff to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Let's start with that, and then we can build up to it.
hmm
Let's see
hmm
how we can have a meeting of the minds and not let's just be so rigid and I want it every day. I want it every other day. Or I don't feel like it because my libido is low.
hmm
Help me to get to that place.
hmm
Let's have
hmm
that. together. Let's take
Mhm.
a shower together.
Mhm.
Let me wash your hair or your head, your bald head. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you can rub my hair and put some oil in there, massage me. You know,
Yes.
so there's a meeting of the minds that
Mhm.
happen, and we're all different. We do need a little negative and a positive, but we can bring it together to make the battery get going.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like the way you thank you, the way you answer that. See, because these are the things people don't want to talk about.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and honestly, honestly, these are the things that religious people don't want to talk about.
Okay.
For some reason, people who are pastors and leaders and
Mhm.
teachers, you could be a lay person in the church. I don't know why you'd want to be, because we all need to
Right.
be serving, but you could you could just be anybody, and no one wants to talk about sex. No
Mhm.
one wants to talk about the issues that married people have in sex. And no one wants to talk about, well, is this okay in the bedroom? And yes, we're talking about roommates and how you can become roommates. Well,
Right.
because, I heard one pastor say that this doesn't belong in a marriage. Well, but what do you and your husband say? Never. Your pastor's not in your bedroom. Your
That's right.
pastor should never be in your bedroom
That's right.
anyway. If you
That's
understand what
right.
I'm saying,
I get
listening
it.
audience, right?
Yes.
You are man and woman enough. If you agree on something, that
Mhm.
ain't yo. That's not your pastor's business.
Yo, I like
Let's just keep it real, okay?
that's right.
Amen.
Marriage bed is undefiled. That's what
Right.
God says. Yes.
Audrey, I'm gonna have you come on in 2 minutes. I got a few more questions I want to ask, but we can do this together. So, do you think small rituals like date nights and check-ins really truly shift the dynamic of a deeper relationship, or to get a deeper relationship to happen? Like, date nights really work if you've been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years? Do check-ins really work? Are
Yeah.
they really important?
Yes. So you have to change it up though when you go to date night. What does date night look like? You
Mm-hmm.
have to have an imagination when you're dating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go, okay, let's go to a movie and a dinner for 20 years. Let's just keep it 100.
Come
Let's
on
just,
now.
you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? What
yes.
does date night look like? Like one day I did a surprise for my husband. I blindfolded him. We were literally around the corner from our house. He didn't know. And there was a gazebo there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I set up the gazebo. They had candles and it was nighttime. We had fruit and food all
Mm-hmm.
out there. And it was a summer night. And when he got there and I took the blindfold off, it was literally around the corner, but he didn't even
Uh-huh.
know it because
Mhm,
I set up a date night. Got home, the woman did an intimate escape at the house with the candles all around the bed. So,
mhm.
what your date night looks like, it's totally up to you. It means that you have to be spontaneous. You don't always have to do things the same way. And so
Mhm.
that's what makes it exciting. If my husband was trying to be my roommate, I'll go in there and lay in the bed with him.
I ain't mad.
You hear what I'm saying? I'm
Listen.
not leaving until you come into the other room, or we can just be in here together.
Hello.
Sometimes people need to feel needed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes we're so afraid to say, I need you. I want
Yeah.
you. I want you. I don't want anybody else. Come
Ooh.
on, this is a part of the sex thing and everything. I want
Yes.
you. I don't want anybody else.
Yes.
And
I
so I'm
love it.
coming in the bed with you. You gonna be in this room, I'm being in here with you. I'm gonna put on my negligee. I might come in there,
Yep.
okay, but we're gonna be together.
Come on, Audrey. When my husband and I first got married, I told him, I said, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you.
That's right.
If you leave, I'm coming with you. So you just know that right now.
Yes, this is a
Right?
package deal.
It's a
Okay.
package deal, bro.
Yes, yes.
I'm sitting over here laughing because I remember one night my husband pissed me off and I went in the other bedroom and got in the bed. He came in and got in there with me. I couldn't even be mad no more. I just bust out and start laughing because that was just too funny to me.
Yes,
All I
yes.
could do was just laugh, but it worked. Like it softened the mood. I wasn't mad anymore. He
Yes.
literally and I'm laughing because it was that funny to me when he did it because he had never done it because he's not that bold person. So for him to do that,
Yes.
I was cracking up. All I could do was laugh. So I wasn't mad anymore after that.
That's cool.
This was such a great conversation, but I do have a few questions, and one of my questions is I hear this a lot. The women are always putting in all of the work. They're the ones that setting up the trips. They're the ones that setting up the bedroom. They're the ones that do all of the work. And they
Yeah.
want the guy to do the work for them. And I've heard guys say, oh my God, I gotta move mountains to make this work. So what do you say to those couples?
Yes. So I say to the couples that and Dr. Chinn says something very important. The date night is not, when we do couples therapy, it's not always up to the woman. So we do exercises where the man plans the date night, because we want to do role reversals sometimes. We want them to be able to reverse and do the things that we don't do. And it makes it fun. We had a man that went and did the date. He was so excited. He did everything for the woman, and she was trying to pick it apart. And I said to her, just relax and allow him to be the man. And sometimes we don't allow them to do what they need to do. And so vice versa, when a woman, I feel the same way. Sometimes I feel like I'm always doing, but there's times when my husband can read me. And that's where we have to start getting that synergy back in our relationship, where you can read when the woman is tired. Don't wait till she's sick. Don't wait till she's feeling depleted or depressed, so we have to learn how to bring that intimacy back. So we might be the initial starter as the woman, but we have to move out of the way and let them chase us a little bit. Okay. Sometimes you need to walk out the door looking extra special and not tell him where you're going. I'm not saying play a game, but just be your womanly self.
Yes.
And be a woman and walk in your femininity and stop always doing the work. They want to chase. That is the way that God made a man to naturally play. But we're so busy trying to fix things that we're in the way. And sometimes we need to fall back and allow things to just be the way that they are, just for a moment. Let them chase us for a little bit. I'm going out. I'm not telling you where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Let's 100. Give me a call. You want to know where I'm at? Call me. And then they'll call. You don't call them all day sometimes. Let them text you and call you.
Yeah.
Some men won't. And you say, you know what? I know you didn't miss me because you didn't call me and text me. We're going to try this again. Some things start to change. We got to start allowing God to be the threefold cord in this marriage and stop trying to be and do everything. In him we live, move, and have our being. So he will teach us. The Holy Spirit will teach us how to do these things in our relationships. We're trying to figure it out in our own finite minds, but we need God in everything that we do, because this thing right here can be something. This marriage thing is work.
It's work. All right, we're gonna get to another question. You got another question, Audrey?
I do. You said something key. You said, let them chase you. What? And when I leave, you call me, but you don't call me. I left the house. I didn't tell you where I was going. You didn't call me. That means in my mind, you don't care about me. And I've heard this happen to someone. So when you get to that point where the person just don't care whether you're there or not, they're not going to call you. They're not going to check up on you. Is that the time you say, you know what, this marriage is over?
Right. It's time to either, if you can't go get counseling and they don't want to go get counseling, you got to have a reality check. Something's missing. There could be a end to this means. You know what I'm saying? It can be over. If they're not chasing you, they're not talking to you, they're not pursuing you, they're not wanting to be with you, there's nothing that you can do. If you've done everything, if you try to work it out and they won't go to counseling, it's going to be totally up to that person. You can't make them do. You can't make them love you. They must be willing.
So what I say to that, when you've done everything you know to do, maybe you need to find out something new. Maybe you need to do something you don't know.
That's right.
Don't be so quick to say this marriage is over. Do not be so quick, because marriage breaks up are just as devastating as a death. There's a grieving process. There's a mourning process. So do everything that you can do in order to work it out. If you're in a roommate situation, and talk to older couples too, because there are older couples. There are older couples who will tell you some stuff that if you never asked, you never would have known. That they know some old remedies. If you understand what I'm saying, they got some old remedies that work better than some of this newfangled stuff. There's some things that work better than a 5-inch high heel. But I'm gonna move on to listen. I got some more questions. I don't know about you. I'm keeping it. This is keeping it real.
Wait, Dr. Chinn, you can't just say that and skate by. What is something that works better than a 5-inch heel?
Listen, I'll be honest. So my spiritual mother, she's going on to be with God. This is the truth. And one day she called me out of the blue. That's how you can tell when people have been with God.
Yeah.
So one day she called me and she said, Linda, you might want to look a little bit nicer every day by the time your husband gets home. Now, she had no idea that I had been working on some house projects. So, you know, by the time Michael got home, I had some paint on me. I had on these jeans, but that had been going on and this raggedy sweatshirt and this baseball cap on my head and a scarf underneath. And when she called that day, I looked at myself. I said, Ma, I got to go. I said, because I need to go get in the shower and change my clothes right now. Right. So sometimes you need to change your clothes. Sometimes you need to think that maybe you do. It's not okay to be in a bonnet every day when he comes home. Sometimes it's okay not to wear a bonnet to bed, but my hair's going to be messed up. You can get your hair fixed again or work another style. Sometimes we're too selfish, right? In order not to be vulnerable or to do something or to be or to look another way that would be pleasing to them. Sometimes you can there's sometimes when I put on one of my husband's shirt with my perfume on, you don't always have to look like somebody else and buy so much stuff to look like somebody that you're not and never will be.
Yes.
But use some of them old school remedies. Everybody's husband got a shirt they can put on.
Amen.
I'm just saying.
Right.
You understand? Listen.
You know, long time ago, Dr. Chinn, I co-authored, my very first book I co-authored was called A Cookbook to Romance. And you guys talked about the church. And one of the people that co-authored the book, she was heavy into church. And she's like, I can't put my name on the book. Now, the book wasn't a bad book, but it was kind of, I guess for her, it was kind of risque. And she's like, I can't put my name on the book. So on the book, we all have different names on the book. So when she took it to her pastor, he was like, you should have put your name on the book. We need this book in church. And I was like, wow. Yeah.
You shall know the truth. The truth is a person. Yes, the truth is Jesus. But in the Rhema word or in the right now word, the knowing the truth makes you free. Truth doesn't make you free if you don't know it.
That's right. That's
if
right.
If you don't know it, it can't make you free. So you don't, sometimes we stumble on truth, but it is. I want to ask Coach one more question. You got any more questions, Audrey?
I'm good.
All right. I want to ask her, how do you help couples create shared goals or dreams when they feel disconnected? How do you help them create a shared goal or a shared dream when they feel disconnected?
Yes. So when you are, what we do is we have the woman put her stuff down, write down her goals and dreams, and the man put his down. Then we come together and we see how they can compare to each other and how they can bring it together. Let's see how you're going hiking and this person loving to cook can come together. We can bring the goals and dreams together. So you'll see his goals and he'll see your goals, and we can bring them together and see how we can make them become one. And so once we do that, we can start aiming and putting it out together. Let's start having a meeting of the minds again. Let's bring this together and let's see how we can compromise on our shared goals and dreams, because we have to be able to work together. Can two walk together? You know what I'm saying?
We agree. Right.
So we have to become one in agreement, even on the grandchildren, on the house goals, on what we see as one thing. How can we do these things together and become one? And so once you put them down and you can identify your goals, then you can kind of mesh them together. They might not all work together, but at least 5 or 6 of them, or 2 or 3 of them.
You can make something.
We can make something happen out of that. Yeah.
All right. So we're coming to the end of our time. Didn't this time go by fast?
It did. I thought
didn't this time, I'm telling you, go by fast. And so I'm going to give Coach the last word, but I want to remind everybody and just encourage everybody, be willing to shift your mindset. And I'll give the last word to Coach Trafina.
Okay.
Come on, Pastor, Coach.
Yes. Be willing to shift your mindset is one. Be willing to compromise is another. Be willing to love again and freely love again through Christ, not through yourself alone, but through Christ. And you can make it. All of the trauma and all of the pain and all of the past pain hurts that we've experienced can come to a culmination in the head if we allow God to be Lord in our marriage and our situation. We have to be able to get God in there. And I know that that's hard for some people. It's like, I've been praying and I see no change. Keep on praying, and
believing.
and believing and putting forth the effort. Like you said, changing up. If you don't like to look nice, go ahead and make yourself look nice for your husband. Men are visual and vice versa. Men don't want to get their feet done. Go take them to the place and get their feet done. Do something different. Be
Amen.
willing to walk on the wild side with God and with your spouse. It's worth it. Amen.
Take a walk on the wild side.
Yes.
With God and your spouse. Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome.
This was a positive. This is so positive, and I hope that those of you who are looking, if you're struggling in your marriage is not easy. We know that already.
Right.
But do what you can to make it work. And I want to say one last thing. I'm sorry, Dr. Trina. I just had to say this one last thing. When me and my husband, we've been married for 22 years. At year 7, we were going through it, and someone said, "Pray together every night." And every night we would get in that bed and hold hands. And I don't know what he was praying for, but we were sitting there holding hands together. Were we praying at all? Did we fall asleep? But this is how we went to bed every night. And it worked itself out. And it was rough because I was like, I'm out. Like I'm done. This is it. So, marriage is tough. So thank you so much for sharing. Dr. Chinn, you always bring the best people on this show. And 4 years, I can't even believe it's been 4 years. That time flew by as well. Listen, I hope that you do this for another 4 and another 4 and keep bringing people to enlighten people and inspire people and motivate people and to get closer with God because of you, I pay attention to the Bible. It's like, listen, you better use your discernment, read the Bible, you read the word. She said that so many times, Pastor Trafina, so many times. Yes. And because of her, I do that. So thank you both for such a great show. Listen, you don't want to miss this show. 2026 is going to be better than 2025. So make sure that you subscribe to this show. Wherever you're listening to, subscribe. That way you never miss a show. And share with 2 friends. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. Share with 2 friends. Not 1, but 2. It is free. We thank you so much. Thank you again. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays, Dr. Chinn. Happy holidays, Pastor Trafina. Thank you again. We'll be back again 2 weeks, same place, same time. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Until next time, make it a great day.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for having me.
I love it. I'm great. You'll be back.
Amen.
You've been listening to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and share it with a friend. Be sure to support the show by going to lindachinnministries.com. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode and tune in again in 2 weeks at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, keep the faith and keep it real.